If we're going to be intentional in our living, if we're going to get intentional about our yes, it's going to require for us to get very intentional about what we give priority to. Hey, Bold Becomers! We are back for another episode of the Bold Becomers podcast. We are in the middle of our very first series called Choosing Your Yes. And if you've been journeying with me, you know that we've been doing some really deep inner work about what we say yes to. Last episode, we talked about including the lessons, how to take the wisdom from the past yeses and use them to shape a more intentional future. But here's the thing. Learning the lesson is just the beginning. Now it's time to take action. So today's episode is all about navigating your growth, moving from accountability to action, because knowing your yes isn't enough. You have to be willing to walk it out. I remember the moment that I decided to go back to school to finish my degree. I had tried before so many times and I wasn't successful, but this time was different. I wasn't just hoping that things would work out. I was committed to making them happen. In my final term, I made a really bold decision and I decided that I was going to accelerate my coursework and complete over half of my degree in just one term. That meant becoming a full-time student and dedicating nearly all of my free time to studying and restructuring my daily routine to support this new yes. It was one of the hardest seasons that I've ever walked through. On top of being committed to being a full-time student, it was also my twins' senior year of high school. So there were activities and just all the things that were just coming at me a million miles a minute. But I made this decision and this promise to myself that I was going to commit to this yes and make it happen. But here's what I learned. Growth doesn't just happen. You have to pursue it, you have to prioritize it, and you have to protect it. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today, because when you commit to your yes, you'll experience challenges. You'll face resistance, people and situations that were comfortable with the old version of you will start pulling you back. And you'll even second guess yourself. You'll wonder if your new yes is worth the cost. But let me tell you this. If you stay the course, if you stay committed to your yes, you will see results. So let me ask you this today. What actions are you willing to take to ensure that your yes aligns with the growth that God is calling you to? Navigating your growth is not just about perfection. It's about persistence. Many people think that accountability is about taking blame. But here's what I believe. I believe that accountability is about stepping into your power. When you navigate your growth with intention, you don't just react to life, you direct your yes. And to do that, you need three things. You need clarity about what you're pursuing. You need the discipline to prioritize what matters. And you need the courage to protect your yes from distractions and doubt. Today, we are breaking down each of these things so that you can navigate your growth with confidence and faith. But before we dive in, let's set the tone for this conversation by starting off with our bold declaration. I am commanding my yes. I am engaged and committed to the process of creating and becoming what God has called me to. I understand that I must exercise diligence, discipline, and patience as I navigate this season of growth. I use the tools and resources at my disposal to stay in alignment with how the Spirit is leading me. As I walk in alignment, I focus on the process, not perfection. I am encouraged and excited for the journey. I use my gifts and vision to keep me connected to my most intentional living. Today, I boldly declare, I direct, I govern, and I command my yes. In this episode, we'll dive into why growth can feel hard, even when you have clarity. We'll also talk about the key to moving from accountability to action. And then we'll move into how to pursue, prioritize, and protect your yes. And then finally, we'll talk about some practical steps to stay committed to your process of becoming. Are you ready? Let's get into it. So, why do people struggle to navigate their growth, even when they have clarity about what they want? Here are some challenges that arise when my clients reach this phase of their becoming journey. Number one, you encounter resistance and pushback. Growth will always disrupt something. People, routines, and environments will resist the new version of you because they are accustomed to who you were. This phase will test your commitment because everything may feel like that one Tyrese song. Anyways, y'all know what I'm talking about. You're going to be feeling like everything in your life is working to pull you back into that old version and that old iteration of the former yes that you had. Number two, you have clarity on what you want, but not what it will cost you. Transition feels exciting at first because you are just thinking about what's new. You're anticipating what will be and all of the possibilities of that, right? But oftentimes you fail to consider everything that it will cost you in order to really have what you're pursuing. And because of this, it is very difficult to truly embrace this season or this phase of growth because you are going to encounter loss. You're going to encounter disruption. You're going to encounter conflicts. You're going to encounter people feeling offended or maybe even having a problem and being very vocal about that with you when you decide that you're going to get serious about your new yes. But you have to remember that just because you didn't necessarily consider what it would cost you, it doesn't free you from the commitment that you've made to yourself to grow. Number three, you have boundaries, but you struggle to enforce them. Boundaries are not just about saying no. They're about becoming the person who embodies your yes. So it may feel unnatural at first to deny access to things that you once freely said yes to. And I know that when it comes to dealing with loved ones and people who know you and have always been around you, it may be difficult for them to accept and to embrace the new yes and this new version of you that is saying yes to something different. Number 4, you underestimate the power of self-doubt. Even when you're clear about your yes, you can still experience self-doubt. You can be very clear and very passionate about what you're pursuing, about what you desire, about what God is moving you into, and still experience self-doubt. The most pervasive form of self-doubt is questioning if the way that you're being led is truly the right way at all. And when this feeling comes up for you, I know how difficult it can be to continue to move forward and continue to say, I'm going to keep leaning into this uncomfortable process of becoming. Now that we've assessed why it can be difficult to navigate growth, even though you have clarity, let's talk about what happens when you take action without understanding what you're truly pursuing. Without clarity, you'll get excited about your new yes, but as soon as opposition arises, you'll feel derailed and drained. You might confuse obstacles with signs that you're on the wrong path, but obstacles are often confirmation that you're stepping into a new level of growth. How do misplaced priorities or distractions hinder your growth? Your time, energy, and focus are limited resources. If you misplace them, they will drain you before you ever see the fruit of your yes. Why is protecting your yes essential to staying committed to growth? There will always be competing voices telling you to do things differently. But navigating your growth in this new space of yes is really teaching you how to become and to really lean into the Holy Spirit and what God has placed inside of you. You also need to know that temptation to please people, aka being a people pleaser, is going to be very strong. And with that, you may even feel compelled to compare your journey to others. So you have to really be intentional about building a muscle that is resistant to everything that is going to try to pull you away from this new yes. Here's the thing that I want you to know. When you protect your yes, you stay the course until you see things come to fruition. So if you are on this portion of your journey in creating and navigating a new yes for your life, just know that all of this discomfort is going to pay off. How does navigate your growth fit into the SHINE method? For those of you that are just joining us, I just want to say that each and every episode on the Bold Becomers podcast is going to implement one of the 5 principles from my proprietary method called the SHINE method. And the SHINE method is an acronym that stands for S, seek the truth; H, honor your story; I, include the lessons; N, navigate your growth; and E, embrace and express. This is my proprietary method that I use to help my clients break through from the background to the forefront of their lives. And what I found is that the navigate your growth principle in the shine method is usually one of the most challenging for people to walk out. And that is because it's calling for you to actually take action. You have to move from just accountability into taking intentional action that is going to move you from the place that you've been to the places you now want to go. What does it mean to move from accountability to action? It means that you are ready to fully recognize that God has given you power to choose a new yes, and you're now committed to seeing it through. Why is staying committed to the process of growth essential for bold becomers? I'll give you 3 reasons. Number 1, because a new yes does not make you an expert at that yes overnight. This is a marathon. It is definitely not a sprint. I want you to know that just because you are not an expert at your new yes overnight doesn't mean that you never will become an expert. You just have to become so committed to that future version of yourself that embodies the new yes that you're willing to stay committed to the process of becoming. And I really think that this phase and this part of the journey is where being a bold becomer really shines through, because you're able to see that I may not be getting it right all the time, but I'm still committed to the process. And I know that eventually I'm going to be able to look back at this season of my life and see how far I've come and how much I have grown. The second reason why staying committed to the process of growth is essential is because you must grow into the person your yes requires you to be. And I'm sorry, fellow bold becomer, unfortunately, becoming does not happen overnight. We can make new choices instantaneously, but implementing those choices, walking out the journey of who you need to become to embody the choice, that takes time. Give yourself that space and the grace to know that as you are becoming, as you are choosing a new yes, your growth will continue to be progressive. And don't want to skip over the process. God does his good work in the process. The third reason why staying committed to the process of growth is so essential is because it takes patience, discipline, and faith. What I want you to realize more than anything else is that everything that we are going through, we are growing through. And as God has brought it to your attention and placed a burning in your spirit to choose a new yes, know that there is some fruit of the spirit that God is working out in you. And as you continue to commit to your growth, God is going to do the adding. He's going to dispense and give you more grace than what you think you can even accomplish or attain. And I am so excited about that because I've seen firsthand the transformation that happens once a bold becomer gets serious about staying committed. And I just want to encourage you that if you are in this phase of navigating your growth, know that yes, this is the most challenging part, but it's going to lead to one of the most rewarding parts of your becoming journey. How do pursuing, prioritizing, and protecting your yes help you navigate growth with intention? So I'm going to break it down for you very simplistically. Prioritizing is going to keep you connected to the purpose behind your yes. Protecting is going to remove distractions and help you navigate and manage disruptions. And then protecting is going to build the boundaries and practices that sustain your yes. So, all three of these are actually needed in order for you to fully embody, fully embrace, and fully express the yes that you are choosing. And hey, if this resonates with you, I want to invite you to stick around. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode, and share this podcast with another woman of faith who might need encouragement. We're building a community of bold becomers here, and I'd love for you to be a part of it. Now that we've identified how navigating your growth fits into the SHINE method, I just want to talk to you a little bit more about some practical strategies to navigate your growth. I think one of the most important things is to remember that while you may get clarity around what you're pursuing, you may not always know the how. And so I want to give you some practical tips that you can implement to help you stay on your journey and on your path as you are navigating this space of growth. So one of the things that you can do is ask yourself the question, what is God calling me to in this season? And I know that that's a very simple question, but the more in depth that you can actually answer this question, that you can seek the face of God, that you can write down in your journal or in your planner what it is that God is really putting in your spirit and is igniting in your heart during this season. I want you to get clear about that and really start writing the vision and making it plain. Okay? And so the way that you can do this is by writing down 3 of your top goals and then evaluate if your goals are aligning with your purpose. I believe in this season that God is calling for us to become unapologetic about the pursuit of our purpose and to move with urgency and assertiveness when it comes to doing the things that He has placed in our spirit. This question and this simple tip of just writing down your goals and making sure that your goals are actually aligning to what God has inspired in your heart, I am hoping that as you do that, you're able to kind of evaluate, is this working? Is this an alignment? Does this even go together, right? And if it doesn't, maybe that's opportunity for you to take it to God and to ask for clarity and to ask, God, I feel like this is what you're calling me to in this season, but I also believe that I want to accomplish this and this and this, and I don't see it lining up. Can you give me wisdom? Listen, one thing that I am not too proud to do is I am not too proud to ask God for wisdom. In the book of James, it tells us that if anyone lacks wisdom, ask it from God because He gives it liberally. And I literally every single day of my life will sit and ask God, like, God, can you clarify for me? Can you give me wisdom and insight about what it is that I'm pursuing? And if it is out of alignment, can you show me where it is? The second tip that I have for you when it comes to, having strategies for navigating your growth is how to set clear priorities. And so I'm going to call this a priority filter. And in this filter, I want you to assess, is this something that is going to serve my growth? And if it isn't, it does not get my yes. Now, I know how challenging this particular point could be because there's always something, someone vying for your attention. But if we're going to be intentional in our living, if we're going to get intentional about our yes, it's going to require for us to get very intentional about what we give priority to. And so, what I'm saying is, let's implement this together because we're walking this journey together as bold becomers. Let's implement the priority filter. If it does not serve my growth, it does not get my yes. That is so simple, but it is so profound. And I'm hoping that as you begin to implement this step, you start to see some real shifts occur in your life and around your yes. The last thing that I have for you when it comes to implementing strategies to navigate your growth is how to protect your yes. I am a big believer in setting boundaries, especially as a recovering people pleaser here. I genuinely believe in the power of learning to not only set boundaries, but to gain courage and confidence in setting your boundaries. I want you to set a growth boundary. And I really love this concept because it automatically is helping you to attach the benefit and the result of you setting the boundary. So, setting a growth boundary means that you are going to identify what you're no longer willing to entertain in this season. When I was pursuing my degree, I said, I am not going to make much time for distractions and I'm not going to make much time for time wasters. And there was a season in my life where I spent a lot of my time just watching TV or enjoying, chit chatting. But in order for me to pursue that purpose of getting my college degree, I had to implement what we're calling it in this episode is a growth boundary, right? That said, I have to give myself space to grow into a student. So I'm going to ask you, what boundary do you need to set in order to give yourself space to grow into the person you need to become? And when you set that boundary, attach the growth that you're expecting to the boundary that you're setting. And when it gets difficult or when someone challenges that boundary, remind yourself not just about the boundary that you've set, but about the growth that's attached to it. Because if you're truly committed to the growth that you say you desire, to the yes that you say you desire, you're going to constantly have need to remind yourself that you cannot afford to get sidetracked or distracted. I know that it's not just about external factors such as people or places or even just situations that you tend to deal with in life. I also know that there is a real enemy out there who is coming against your purpose and trying to deter you from the greatness that God has placed inside of you. But I want to remind you that God has already equipped you to overcome any challenge that the enemy may throw your way. And that includes the challenge of you questioning yourself, doubting yourself, not believing in what you can do. Navigating your growth is probably the hardest season and the hardest phase of your becoming journey because that is where you meet the most opposition. Not because what you're trying to accomplish or the yes that you're trying to create is impossible or is difficult in and of itself, but simply because you are going to feel an inclination to want to go back to what you know. Does anybody remember the story of Lot's wife? They had one job as they were getting rescued from Sodom and Gomorrah. Do not look back. But it is hard to do that when what you know, when what you've been accustomed to is it's now time to let go of that. When it's time to say goodbye to the old yes that no longer serves the growth and the purpose that God has placed on your life, that is when you see the other side of you start to arise. That is when you see the ugliest parts of the enemy start to pop up. That is when you see some of the ugly parts of other people start to pop up. If God has said in Philippians 1:6 that he that hath begun a good work in you will perform it until its completion, and I am paraphrasing here, know that God is not going to give up on you. The only way that you don't see this to completion is if the enemy can convince you to give up on you. So my encouragement to you is to remember that God has already given you his word and his promise to you that he's not going to give up on you. One of the things that you have to be confident about as a bold becomer is that God is committed to your work. God is committed to the process of seeing the work that he's begun in you being performed. And if God is committed to that work and God is not willing to give up on you, don't you dare go giving up on yourself. With that said, I pray that you remember in those difficult times that God is right here with you, and that if God has given you the vision, if God has, inspired you to create a new yes, then he already has designed a way for you to embody and to become what it is that he's given you. Don't give up. Don't get overwhelmed. But remember to continue to stay committed to that process of navigating until you see the results that you are expecting. Let's talk about this week's challenge. I would like for you to take some time to create a growth map. And this growth map is really something that you can just do in your journal, where you're going to list out what you're pursuing. And remember, what you're pursuing is in alignment with your yes, right? And then the second thing you're going to do is you're going to identify what you need to prioritize in order to continue on that path of pursuit. And then the next thing I want you to do in your growth map is I want you to define how you will protect your yes with boundaries, time management, your mindset shifts, and even what you need to invest in yourself in order to be able to pursue and prioritize the yes that you said you want. One of the ways to stay accountable after you create your growth map is to continue to refer back to this page in your journal. I've done this myself. It's a practice that I often do, and it helps me to be able to do a real-time check of whether or not I'm doing what I said I would do. Am I keeping the commitment to myself? Am I protecting my yes? The way to track your progress and to keep yourself accountable as you move in action is to continue to refer back to your growth map in your journal. And as you are journaling, in real time, assess if you are continuing to hold true to what you're pursuing. If you're continuing to keep first the things that you said you would prioritize, and if you are implementing the necessary boundaries to protect your yes. Another way for you to track your progress is to implement having accountability partners. Accountability partners are friends, family, your partner, your spouse, people who understand what you're in pursuit of and want to help you hold yourself accountable to the goals that you have set for yourself. Another thing that you can do is to implement visual reminders of the yes that you're creating and pursuing. One of the ways that I do this is I am like a post-it notes queen right now. I will write out on a post-it note a thought or a yes that I am currently pursuing, and I'll place that post-it note somewhere that I'm going to see it every day, especially multiple times a day. One of my favorite places to do this, please listen and don't judge, is to actually put them inside my medicine cabinet in the mornings when I'm brushing my teeth, and in the evenings when I'm brushing my teeth again. I can see this reminder on my medicine cabinet door, and it gives me an opportunity to ask myself questions that keep me accountable. So again, remember to journal, get accountability partners, and then you want to use visual reminders to help you stay accountable and to keep you on the path of committing to a new yes. With that said, I have to do a shameless plug and invite you to join the Bold Becomer Circle. This community is completely free to you as a bold becomer, and it's a place where we can hold each other accountable and really talk about how we're implementing the work that we are talking about here on the Bold Becomers podcast. I hope that you'll take advantage of that and join me and other amazing bold becomers as we are navigating through not just our growth, but what it really means to create and to protect our yes. Hey there, bold becomer. Are you ready to take the next step in your journey to embrace godly authenticity and truly shine? I'm thrilled to introduce my book, Discover the Path to Shine, your guide to uncovering the foundational principles that will transform your journey from the background to the forefront. This isn't just another book. It's a roadmap for recognizing and breaking free from behaviors and beliefs that may be holding you back. Whether you're navigating challenges or seeking clarity in your purpose, Discover the Path to Shine offers the tools and insights to help you align with who God has called you to be. So, if you're ready to step into the light and live with the boldness that you were created for, grab your copy today. Visit courageandashine.com/discover or check the link in the show notes to get started. It's your time to shine. Let's review some of our key takeaways from this episode. What I want you to take away and remember is that growth is not about perfection. It's about commitment. Staying engaged with the process and trust that every action that you are taking is preparing you for the fulfillment of your yes. Finally, I want you to remember that your yes is sacred. Your growth is worth protecting. You are stepping into alignment, and as you do, everything that is meant for you will meet you in due season. I need you to do me a favor. Would you be so kind as to share your growth map with me on social media with the hashtag #CommandYourYes and tag me at courageandashine. I also would love for you to subscribe and leave a review. And please make sure that you share this episode with a friend. Lastly, before we leave this episode, let's review today's bold declaration. I am commanding my yes. I am engaged and committed to the process of creating and becoming what God has called me to. I understand that I must exercise diligence, discipline, and patience as I navigate this season of growth. I use the tools and resources at my disposal to stay in alignment with how the Spirit is leading me. As I walk in alignment, I focus on process, not perfection. I am encouraged and excited for the journey. I use my gifts and vision to keep me connected to my most intentional living. Today, I boldly declare, I direct, I govern, and I command my yes. Thank you again, Bold Becomer, for joining me. Next week, we'll explore the final step of the SHINE method, embrace and express, moving from action to actually amplifying your yes. I cannot wait to have this conversation with you. Until next time, remember to keep becoming, embrace godly authenticity, and live with shine. I'll see you in the next episode.